Everyone to our 2025 summer staff info session, which is to say this is for summer 2025. We are here to talk about all of the various roles and expectations in general for summer staff. Our summer staff applications did just open today. So we're going to go into all the details. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the GeoFORCE program, we are going to start by talking about the GeoFORCE program as a whole, and then we'll go into more specific details about all of the different roles that you can expect us to be hiring this summer and what we're looking for those roles. So without further ado, let's just get started. Let's talk about what GeoFORCE is. So GeoFORCE Texas this is going to be our 21st summer this coming summer. We have been around for 21 years. We are a totally free outreach program run by UT's Jackson School of Geosciences. And we recruit students from across Texas, especially in the areas of rural Southwest Texas, of Austin and inner city Houston, and the surrounding greater Houston area. And we take our students on a free 4-summer experience across all of the United States. And we're going to go into what each of those summers look like here in a little bit. Our goal is to increase the number of students that are pursuing STEM majors in college. We are especially, of course, interested in increasing our geoscience majors and everything to do with the geosciences, and to help our students with their science literacy, with their self-advocacy, with their self-confidence, and skills so that they can succeed in college, no matter what it is that they are doing and in their future careers. We also do have a full transition to college program and transition to career program that grows every single year. So we always send out opportunities such as the opportunity to be summer staff, but also other internship opportunities, scholarship opportunities, job opportunities. So if you are an alumni and you are not yet on the alumni mailing list, you should absolutely make sure that you get on that. Email Jennifer or Eleanor or the GeoFORCE email so that we can get you on that list, because we are sending out opportunities all the time for things that you can do with us, even as you are continuing on into your early career. So the goal of being a GeoFORCE summer staff member is not just to educate the students. Our GeoFORCE program is not here just to teach a Geology 101 class. It's really here to inspire our students about the geosciences. We know that most of the information that we teach on the academies is going to be retaught again in their early classes that they have to take in college. And those are the times that they really need to retain that information. What we want them to get out of the 4-year experience is the understanding that this is something that I can do. This is something that I'm interested in. This is something that I want to pursue more. So who is in charge of these summer academies? We're going to go into the summer academy schedule here in a second, but we do have 10 traveling academies this summer and 1 virtual academy. And in each of these academies, all of them, there is a coordinator, a lead coordinator, who is what we call the captain of the ship. This is the person that is a full-time staff member that has been planning these academies since the August of the previous year, and we're there to make sure that everything is running smoothly and is being safe, and that the students are having a good experience. Every academy, for the most part, will have 2 coordinators. There's only 1 academy that might not have 2 coordinators this summer, but every academy should have 2 coordinators, a lead and an assistant, so that there's always someone there if you as a summer staff member have a question or need to kind of bring in someone who can make some bigger decisions. You're never going to be left fully responsible for the students by yourself or on your own. You have a lot of support as a staff member. The coordinator is in charge of all of the safety logistics and the overall academy schedule. We do defer, most of us, all of us, to the instructor when it comes to the educational aspect of things, because none of us have a PhD in the geosciences. But for the most part, where they're making the decisions on, okay, we need to get to the next stop, we need to leave this stop, this is where we're going to be doing this activity, and things like that.
All right. So who are we? I am Mitchell Lambert. I am one of the coordinators here. It's my second summer with GeoFORCE. Jasmine is our interim director. If y'all know Dr. Leah Turner, we are very sad that she has gone to the next step in her professional career. And so Jasmine is our interim director for now, as we look to see who that could potentially be in the future. Myself, Elise, Eleanor, and Jennifer, who are both on the call, are all of the coordinators. The five of us will be on the academies. We'll be those two coordinators that are leading each of the academies and things. And then Cherie Sims is our full-time administrative associate. Y'all will probably get emails from her about hiring paperwork or anything like that potentially. She'll be doing a lot of the paperwork and the conversation with us in the business office as well. She makes this whole program continue to run by being able to be our liaison with the business office with all of the things that we do. So our schedule is as follows. As you can see here, beginning of the summer, all of the 9th and 10th grades are done in June. It gets real hot in Texas. It gets real hot in the American Southwest. We want to get those shocked off the board as quickly as possible. You'll see we start with the Austin 10th grade academy with the Southwest 10th grade the second week of June. You'll see the GeoFORCE West 9 and GeoFORCE East 9. We are only running 2 9th grade academies this year for sustainability of GeoFORCE of the future. We are still taking students from all 3 geographies. The Austin geography will be kind of split up between the 2 groups. So if you think about like the Southwest Texas and part of Austin will be the GeoFORCE West group. And then Houston and the eastern part of Austin will be the East group. And so we're planning to be doing that going forward. So scaling down a little bit because everything is so expensive, friends. It is wild how much these academies cost, and all of these prices keep rising. You'll see as we kind of get in later in the summer is when we will be in Oregon. That last week of June is the first time we go. There is a chance that, last year, Jasmine and Eleanor had to go around Crater Lake because snow was still there. So we want to make sure that we can do all of the things in Oregon. We're not, hamstrung by the snow or environment or anything along those lines. So that's why you can see our 11th grades that are pushed back later in the year. Our 12th grade program we have, which is when we bring all of the students together. There's only a single 12th grade. It's not all of the different geographies doing their own, is over at UT. We bring them all together and do the Research Academy. That is happening a week earlier than normal. It's in the middle of June. And it overruns with math and science. So if you want to be a counselor and a PLA, you're not going to be able to do the 12th grade counselor and be a PLA for math and science. So there's a couple little things like schedule wise, and that overlaps because of the symposium. If you were a GeoFORCE kid, you got to go and be a part of the symposium, hopefully in your 12th grade year, as well as math and science. So you know that overlap is there for the celebration of the folks that are wrapping up 12th grade, as well as the folks that are joining math and science. And then finally, we have virtual the last week of July. It's kind of on there. That's really for instructors and education coaches. We don't really have counselors that are there on that virtual program. And then a little bit about like what each of the academies entail is going to be up next. They are a week-long experience that will have students there from Sunday to Saturday, but staff, like counselors and trail drivers, specifically logistical staff, start a day early. We have a staff day on Saturday before we see the kids, so we can go over any safety concerns. We can go over the itinerary with y'all, make sure that we are all on the same page for check-in, like that start in the morning till we have the kids throughout the week. So we will have them starting that Sunday. So we have like one night with just us, and they're with us for that full week of traveling. For 9th grade, if you have done a 9th grade, if you went on a 9th grade as a counselor with us in the past, it's going to look a little different this year. We're going to do general intro to geology is like the basis of the program. In the past, it's been life of a sediment and, how does it go from up an enchanted rock down to the coast. We just want to give them the basis for geology, because basically after middle school, they don't have to take any earth sciences in the state of Texas. We want to make sure that through the 4 years that they have with us, they have a base knowledge of understanding of what we're looking at, what we're doing, why we're hitting all of these places. So we are going to go from the Llano uplift down to the Texas coast. We are going to start in pick up everybody, go into like Houston, or not Houston, sorry. Pick up folks from Houston, from Southwest, bring them to Austin, do some stuff in the classrooms at UT, and then head up to Marble Falls. If you've done it in the past with us, we are not staying at the dorms. We are going to be staying in Marble Falls for a few days, still doing Enchanted Rock and Inks Lake and Longhorn Cavern. A couple of new spots we're going to hit up. We're going to hit up Pedernales Falls out west of Austin, as well as go down to Canyon Lake Gorge. And do a guided tour out there before we go down to the coast. In Corpus Christi, we will do some of the same activities, potentially Nueces Delta, as well as RVR comedies. We're going to do some different things instead of like the Packery channel that you've done in the past. So we're adding new things to the 9th grade. So we can continue to expand the educational content that the kids are getting. 10th grade, American Southwest is very similar to any of the trip that you went on as a student, or if you've done it in the past. We're going to go through the Grand Staircase. We are going to hit up a lot of the same places in terms of, excuse me, like the Virgin River Canyon stop, as well as, Zion National Park, Bryce Canyon, Glen Canyon, Antelope Canyon, which we added last year, the Grand Canyon, Lowell Observatory, Barringer Meteor Crater. A new stop that we are adding, though, is we're going to go to the Petrified Forest for the first time with GeoFORCE. And so instead of going out of Phoenix, we're going to head east and go Petrified Forest and then fly out of Albuquerque. So really the only change is the last day if you've been on a 10th grade with us recently. And then our 11th grade in the Pacific Northwest, we have not revamped in a very long time. This could potentially be the last year that it looks like that. We will see. We're trying to figure out of what we can do to enhance that 11th grade program. We fly out to Portland and we do a tour of Southern Washington and the state of Oregon. So it's the CVO, Cascade Volcano Observatory, Mount St. Helens, Mount Hood, Crater Lake, Newberry Caldera. I know there's something that I missed on Tuesday, but I don't remember exactly what it is. We go down to the Oregon coast. We see, Hasita Head, Cape Perpetua, Seal Rock, before coming up through Newport. Oh, yes, Multnomah Falls. Thank you. That's on Monday. That's the early in the week. So, but we do our tour of Oregon, and then we come back to Portland and fly out of Portland and come back home. What we touch on there is like, plate tectonics, volcanoes, natural disasters, tsunamis, all of the things that could potentially be hazardous up in the Pacific Northwest. We talk about why the volcanoes are in a line, what the reasoning is there, why we're over there, what we're doing there, and what the kids are seeing and experiencing, of course. So I think.
Okay. We're going to touch on the 12th grade later, but for now, just the 9th through 11th grade and what the roles are for those traveling academies.
So I'm going to talk a bit about this. So we have educational and logistical staff on each academy. And so for each academy, we have different positions that people can apply for. You can apply, for one, or you can apply for a couple if you're interested. But doing all of the educational content stuff is the instructor, and that's typically somebody who has is getting their PhD or some sort of grad student who has teaching experience, or it could also be a faculty member. You are the geoscience content expert, so you're the one who's doing the lectures at night, teaching in the field, and making sure that the kids get a comprehensive understanding of whatever topic we're covering. So for the 9th grade, that's going to be the intro to geology stuff, and then the 10th grade and 11th grade, their respective topics. And so we suggest that people apply who have backgrounds in these types of fields. So if you have any experience with like sedimentary rocks or planetary geology, you might want to apply for the 10th grade position. If you are somebody who studies natural disasters or has a background in volcanoes, the 11th grade might be more well suited for you. But typically this is all pretty entry level geology that we're teaching the kids. We're not trying to get too in depth about the geology that we teach them or too technical, because we don't want to, as Jasmine said, focus too much on like forcing education onto them. We want to inspire them to become geoscientists or pursue that as a major. So we also have an educational coach, which is usually somebody who's a school teacher or a grad student. Like I said, somebody who has educational experience, who can kind of bridge the gap between the students and this higher level instructor. So you would be in charge of sort of creating and facilitating activities for the students, going over the guidebook work that the students do each day, and kind of working in tandem with the instructor on this sort of educational content for the students throughout the week. And so the educational coach kind of serves as support for the instructor, and an educational coach might be asked to give a presentation depending on if we split the group up. So somebody who's comfortable with talking in front of students. We also have a trail driver, have one per academy. The trail driver is in charge of going and getting supplies that are needed for any of the academies. So for example, if we need you to go pick up lunch, you'll peel away from the academy or from the rest of the group, and you'll go pick up lunch. It's typically Subway, so they give you big bags. You also are the one who's going to Walmart or HEB at night, getting any supplies that we may need, and then just in charge of being like the extra vehicle in case we need to take a student to the ER if there's a case of medical emergency. So the trail driver basically just hangs behind the van or hangs behind the bus in a van, and then is able to peel away if needed for any supply runs. And then we have counselors. So we typically have 4 per academy. We'll also be hiring counselors for the 12th grade, but I'll talk about that in a second. So the counselors are college age students. Counselors are the eyes and ears of the academy. So you are the ones ensuring that the students are all accounted for. You will be given about 10 or 12 students, depending on how big the academy size is. And so you will be in charge of those students. And so you just need to make sure that they are where they're supposed to be, make sure that they are behaving properly. Everybody will get a copy of our code of conduct. And so you'll all generally know how students are supposed to be acting and what rules are in place and like what students should and shouldn't be doing. But counselors are there to really reinforce those rules, especially whenever the coordinator is preoccupied trying to, maybe get into a park or wrangle everybody to get into dinner. You are just ensuring that everybody is following directions, behaving, being safe, and also having a good time. So we also encourage our counselors to be role models for our students and talk about their own college experience. And you're typically seen as like a mentor to these students because you're kind of a bit younger than some of the coordinators and the instructors and the rest of the educational staff. So a lot of our counselors are typically geoscience students or STEM students, but some come from all sorts of different backgrounds. So we have students who are in psychology and in, the theater department. I don't know. So it doesn't matter what your major is. You aren't necessarily going to be tasked with teaching the students anything, but you can definitely help. And this is all stuff that you probably know if you went through the program. So hopefully, I'd love to see some students that I saw on the math and science and who we had on the 12th grade. I see some of y'all are in here, so that'd be cool to have you as counselors. Right, so the 12th grade academy looks a bit different. Some of you have experienced the new 12th grade academy, but for those who aren't familiar, it's a week-long experience. Staff day starts on Saturday, and then the students are dropped off on Sunday. It is Sunday to Sunday, so a day longer than the normal traveling academies that are 9th through 11th grade. So students are matched up with researchers from the university who have specific projects that are anywhere ranging from like geoscience communication to studying earthquakes and tectonic activity. So scientists volunteer these projects and volunteer their time. And so students are matched up with them and then are then working with them for the week to create a research project. So we will be hiring a couple people, but I'll talk about that on the next slide. Yeah, here we go. So we will be hiring two different types of people for this. We'll be hiring a research group lead, which is essentially the combination of like an educational coach and a trail driver. And what you'll be doing is assisting with the research that's being conducted. So if students have questions on like, how do I create a poster or how do I analyze this data? You'll just kind of be a support for these students to be able to answer questions and also be able to go pick up any supplies that may be needed. On top of that, we will also be hiring counselors for each group. And so I'm not too sure the amount of counselors we'll be hiring. It kind of depends on how many research mentors we get and how many projects we have. But we will also be looking for counselors for the 12th grade academy. And we will ask that counselors who apply to be a 12th grade counselor the upper level, just because we're dealing with students who may be like 17 or 18. And so we just want to have that bit of age between the counselors and the students. Something I forgot to mention is that you must have a Texas driver's license to be a research group lead, just because you're going to be driving university vehicles and it's mandatory that you have a Texas driver's license.
All right, so next is our final academy that we have for students. This is our Math and Science Institute. I know a few of you here are on the Math and Science whenever you were given the opportunity, so y'all will kind of know it a little bit. It is a week-long experience for students who have graduated from high school, have graduated from the GeoFORCE program, and are now going on to college and undergrad in the fall. Therefore, we have the rules are a little different. We don't have these PLAs who would work for the Math and Science Institute will not have to do the youth protection training if they are solely doing this. This is still a little bit longer of an academy. Students are dropped off on Saturday so that it coincides with the 12th grade that is going on. We do make an appearance at the GeoFORCE Symposium. You get to see the students as they present the research that they've been doing throughout the week. Then students have classes between Monday and Friday. As of right now, they are doing intro calculus, chemistry, and physics. So these students get to kind of learn a little bit about these weed out courses that are usually given to STEM students so that they have that kind of in their back pocket in case they need any help. There's also right now a potential for there to be travel and some research done at the end of the Math and Science Institute. So if that seems kind of interesting, maybe apply. The roles for this Math and Science are going to be instructors. So if you are a current grad student studying chemistry, calculus, or physics, that's who we would like to see as our instructors. You will do between 3 to 5 days of instruction for about 2 hours each day. And this will fall between Monday and Friday. So you will not have to be working on the weekends when the students are with us. Then we have peer learning assistants. So we have 3 openings this year for peer learning assistants, and these should be students who are current undergrads and who can really speak on their experience, kind of like how a counselor would speak on their experience in their undergrad, and really talk on their transition to college, because this is a big program. This is our main program for our transition to college. So we would like to help students out and give them a unique and real perspective on how that is going to be like. We would like peer learning assistants to have a background in either chemistry, calculus, or physics, depending on whatever subject they apply to. So if you are an engineering major and you are incredible at physics and calculus, but you cannot do chemistry, do not worry. You do not have to apply to be a chemistry PLA. You can select which subject you feel comfortable tutoring students in. You will also, if we do happen to travel, will help out and play kind of a counselor role in that safety and logistical aspect. We also then have our virtual academy. So our virtual academy is a week-long experience. As right now, it's from Sunday to Saturday, I believe. Right now, with Sunday being the intro day for students. So students would come in. We as coordinators would work with them to kind of make sure they're logged in. And anyone doing instruction for the academy would start between Monday to Saturday. This is a program to teach students some tangible skills that they can take out and apply to geology, but also in a broader concept and in a broader aspect. Last year we did Python, so we taught students how to code, and these students can be anywhere between 9th and 12th grade. So there is a range there. This year we would like to try to do ArcGIS or some other type of mapping. So if you do a lot of mapping, if you're a grad student who does a lot of ArcGIS work, a lot of mapping work with your current project, and you feel you can adequately teach these skills to students, please apply. We are looking for an instructor and an educational coach for this academy. The instructor would be the one to propose the plan, kind of develop out what each day-to-day project would look like, and what the end goal and end result would be for that week for the students. They would work about 3 hours a day between Monday and Saturday. The EC would then act as a supporting role. So that would be whenever we have to break students out into breakout rooms, whenever there's many students asking questions, they would partner up with the instructor and help out in that way. They should also have a background in ArcGIS or mapping, just so they're able to adequately support the instructor whenever students have many questions. We would also like either a school teacher or a grad student for this position.
Okay, we are going to be hiring one summer intern this summer. So this will be ideally an upperclassman undergrad student, or possibly early level grad student, or someone who has recently graduated from undergrad, who is looking for a full-time internship this summer. This internship goes from mid-May to mid-August, so it is all summer long, and it is a full 40 hours a week for the entire summer, with options or opportunities for vacation if you have something planned. The intern will be working on sort of all the behind the scenes stuff with the full-time coordinators, learning how to do things like what the logistics look like behind the scenes, how you help with the business office and accounting, receipts reconciliation, the academy prep, helping packing, helping putting together all of the binders. And then the intern will also be acting as a coordinator over 3 different academies. So they will be the assistant coordinator on one of the 9th grades. They will also be an assistant, almost lead coordinator for a portion of the 12th grade. They'll actually get to have an opportunity to fully lead one of the 12th grade research groups that is going out in the field to the coast. And they'll be in charge of that group. And then they will also be the lead coordinator on that virtual academy we were just talking about. So they'll be working closely with the instructor and the EC of the virtual academy to design this ArcGIS virtual academy this summer and to lead it throughout that entire week. So this is a really exciting opportunity for an upperclassman undergrad to really get some practical experience in anything from project management to geoscience education or STEM education, communication, everything like that. So we really hope that our alumni apply to this opportunity. We are specifically looking for a GeoFORCE alumni or alum for this opportunity. So to summarize everything, what we have this year, there is the instructor role for the academy, math and science, and virtual. The instructors across all categories should be a PhD student or should have their PhD and be working as some sort of faculty member in the geosciences or chemistry, calculus, or physics when it comes to math and science. We have our EC role, which should either be a grad student that has significant TA experience, but mostly what we're looking for are school teachers to fill that EC role. We're looking for research group leads to help with the 12th grade and make sure that our students are understanding the research component and help sort of sub in for the counselors and make sure that everyone is getting appropriate breaks and things like that with our oversized 12th grade academy. And then we're looking for peer learning assistants, PLAs. These are the tutors slash partial counselor type role for the math and science students. That's our college bridge program. Then we are looking for quite a lot of counselors. That is the most of what we hire every summer. Every academy has 4 counselors, and the 10th grade should have something like 10 counselors. That is a great question. I'm going to get to that. And then trail drivers. Every academy needs 1 trail driver as well to help drive the trail van, get the supplies and things like that. There's a question, how many academies can a counselor or trail driver be a part of each summer? We accept staff from 1 to 3 academies. 3 is rare, 2 is way more common. But we will accept specifically educational staff for usually just 1 academy. It is very, very, very rare that we hire an instructor for more than 1 academy or an EC for more than 1 academy. Normally instructors and ECs are hired for the 1. Counselors are typically hired at default for 2 academies. And then as things happen, they might drop down to only 1, or they might end up being offered a 3rd academy, but it is typical that counselors get 2 academies in the summer. PLAs, it's just the 1. There's just 1 option. Trail drivers also typically are offered 2 academies and might drop down to 1 or might be offered a 3rd, depending on how things work out in the summer. So you can apply now for the position. Here's a QR code. Also, one of the coordinators will put the link directly in the chat as well. The application is open until the end of November. So you have 1 month to complete your application. Everything should just be on 1 page. It's a Google form. So you should be able to click on the link and look at every question that is going to be asked of you and think about what you're going to say before you fill it out. We will select our staff the first week of December, and the initial offer letters will be sent out mid-December. The official start date of all summer positions is May 1st. This means everyone must have all of their paperwork done by May 1st to be a summer staff member. Even if you're just going to be a summer staff member at the very end of July, you officially, by university rules, need to have your paperwork in by May 1st. All of the required training and everything to do with that is going to happen in May and later in the summer. So there will be training sessions in May for all the staff. The training sessions, there's going to be a virtual training session for educational staff that will either be over 1 or possibly 2 evenings. And then there will be a logistical training also for the counselors, PLAs, and trail drivers. And then in addition to that, we might have some in-person training potentially during staff day. So we're still figuring out what our exact training schedule will be this year, but when we send out the offer letters, it will include the exact schedule so that everyone knows what they're signing up for when it comes to their expected working hours this summer. So that offer letter, when it is sent out, will tell an individual specifically what academies they have been hired for and what the training they need to do for those academies is. You, in the application, should list out your summer availability. It is one of the questions at the end. Please make sure that if your summer availability changes, that you let us know so that we can make sure to switch people around as soon as possible. It's way harder to switch people around in the middle of the summer than it is to switch people around when we're still kind of getting the summer schedule organized in winter and early spring. And that is all we have. So now is the time for more questions. I know we had some in the chat. I'm going to read them aloud real quick because for those who aren't able to access the chat after the fact. We had a question about, are all the roles filled by grad students? No, our counselors and PLAs and the intern position are all undergrads, or in that realm. Grad students can be instructors, they can be ECs, they can be trail drivers. Trail drivers, I don't think we mentioned, have to have graduated college, or if they have to have had a certain amount of work experience. So maybe they're a late stage college student, but if they worked for 5 years beforehand, that's okay. But you have to be basically at least 21 years old to apply to be a trail driver, to pass the UT driver specifications. And you have to have that Texas driver's license. What was there another question?
I was gonna say, I would just encourage you to also please comprehensively read the application, because every single year we get people who fill out a question because they think it says check off all your availability or check off the time that you're not available. I'm not exactly sure how the question's worded, but it's one of those. Make sure to read and select based on which one it actually is and not just what you think it is, because it might say
we actually
where you
we made it even easier this year. You have to literally write it in. It's not even a checkbox anymore. You have to write in when you are not available this summer. So yes, please read it. It's bolded in all caps. Tell us when you are not available. Don't tell us when you are available. Yes. Is it possible to fill different roles for different academies, like an EC for one academy, a trail driver for another academy? That is a great question. You may fill different roles for different academies with the caveat that those roles have to be paid at the same rate. So for instance, someone can be a counselor and then also a PLA because they are both paid at $20 an hour. However, you cannot be an EC and a trail driver because they are paid at different rates. So we can't do that kind of deviation of the wages, I guess, over the course of the summer. However, you are more than welcome to apply to as many roles that you qualify, because it's possible that we have a really competitive, let's say, EC applicant pool this year, but a not very competitive trail driver applicant pool, and maybe you don't quite make the EC pool, but you do make the trail driver pool. At least you get a chance to work with us. If you had only applied to the EC pool, you wouldn't have had that chance. So we will make sure we won't offer people two different roles that don't have the same wages, but we will do our best to offer people who qualify at the highest paying role that role first, if that makes sense. We always start with instructor and then EC and work our way down like that. Any other questions? There's a required question that doesn't actually have a question between CPR and that is the question. Hold on. Let me reset the form and see if that's the availability question. John is pointing out that the form might be broken. Is it working now? Are you able to see if you refresh it? Yeah, okay, perfect. If at any point anyone has any questions about either the application, any of the roles, anything like that, you are more than welcome to email us. Our email is here, geoforce@jsg.utexas.edu. Also on our website, everyone's emails, all of the staff members, all of our emails are listed on the website. You can also call the GeoFORCE phone. It's actually this one right here. So I will probably be the one to answer you if you call the phone. You can follow us on Instagram at GeoFORCE Texas and DM us there. You can message us on our LinkedIn. We have a GeoFORCE group on LinkedIn if you're not part of it, for the alumni specifically to be part of our GeoFORCE group. And you can follow our GeoFORCE page on LinkedIn, regardless of whether you're an alumni or not. Am I missing anything? There's lots of ways to connect with us.
Alumni, message me on GroupMe. It's there. It's very active. Please message me. Also, again, I think I told the first years this whenever, if you were at the math and science and I was talking all about the application and the summer staff, please, I know some of you guys, you're great. We do not grade or look at your applications with your name. We take out your name and we are just looking at your short answers and how much you show that you want to be a part of the program. So do those applications. Please do not just put, I want to be a counselor because I want to go to Oregon. Please. You're not going to get
the
chosen,
job.
sadly.
Yeah. Please give us your actual qualifications and be serious on the short answers. Cool. Okay. And I will say for those who applied last year, the application has changed. We do have more short answers this year for each role. So once again, make sure that you read through the application. You can look at every single question by clicking on that link or looking at the QR code, and think through your answers before you go and submit. You have until the end of the month. Plenty of time to get this done, and we'll send out reminders before Thanksgiving to give y'all that last boost. I think there's going to be one more question. Nope, just a thank you. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to stop the recording now. Thanks to everyone who watched this back after the fact.